Yes, I want a coffee without any coffee. Been saving this story for a while now, just thought I'd share something light and funny to start the weekend off. The usual warnings: long time reader, first post, mobile etc. Years ago I worked for the big Canadian coffee and donut shop, mostly working the evening shift. If you aren't familiar with Canadian brand coffee shop, the cream and sugar are dispensed by a machine that is calibrated to an amount determined by corporate. If you are used to ordering at the fancy green place, or the running donut place, the number of sugar and creams you order may need to change depending on how much you actually want. One night, we had these three bikers drive in, and you could tell they had been on the road for a while. Their ringleader was your stereotypical biker, tall, wide shoulders, big beard, covered in leather. His friends were shorter but otherwise still had the whole tough but tired look going on. My co-worker was in the back working soup and sandwich, but it's only 3 people and it's been a slow night. No worries. Just need to get these tired boys some caffeine and wish them a good night. Ringleader: I want an extra large 12 and 12. Me: are you sir? Ringleader: did I stutter? Me: okay, but that's only. Friend 1: did he stutter? No. No, he did not. So off I went to make him exactly what he asked for, grabbed a cup and put it under the sugar dispenser while I pressed the ×3 button 4 times. 12 XL shots of sugar. Then I went over to the cream dispenser and did the same thing. Now, fun fact. The cream and sugars are measured to dispense 1/12 of the cup size you are selecting, so, by the time all 12 shots of creamer were dispensed, the cup was basically full. I stirred the creamy sugar mixture around before I poured an itty-bitty splash of coffee in his cup, just enough to bring it up to the safety line on the cup. I tried asking him if he wanted me to heat it up or anything, but I basically got the same exact run around from him and his friend. Obviously, the guy knew what he wanted and he didn't need me to tell him what he was ordering. They grabbed the rest of their order and drove out into the night. Now, you would think that was the end of the story. The big angry biker man got his nasty sugar cream drink and left me sitting there wondering if the rest of the world had been drinking their coffee wrong this entire time. But no, I was lucky to be working the next afternoon when he came back in. Mr. Ringleader came back in all by himself the next day and shuffled up to the counter. I could tell he must have been embarrassed because his voice was a lot softer this time. He knew he ducked up. The glorious aftermath is that he apologized and confirmed that the drink had been utterly disgusting. Turns out he was used to ordering from the fancy green coffee place and they use way smaller measurements for their cream and sugar. Once I knew where he was used to ordering from, I made him the approximately same drink using our measurements, roughly a triple, and sent him on his way. I only wish I could have seen his face when he took that first sip. TLDR, mean man offers a cup full of cream and sugar, tastes disgusting. Now to the comments. At least he came back and apologized, don't see that often. Okay guys, NGL, when I originally made the comment, I was busy to satisfy my ADHD and schemed through the story so I missed the Canada part. But secondly, I've also never really associated outside of my state, and I kinda wanna know what Canada is like now. A principled person. This is the way. You could tell he was the big man in charge because he knew how to own up to his screw UPS. You did the right thing, warn once, warn twice, take the dang money and be off with them. Yeah, the warning helps. This guy wanted a schooner of a beer once and I was like, pints are on special for $2 less than a schooner right now, are you sure? He was like, I asked for a schooner. So I got him a schooner. His mate gets a pint and then it clicks in his head. Lucky his mate and everyone in the bar clearly heard me warn him several times. Only like $4 difference for one drink, but still. How big is the schooner? In Canada, even the bikers are too polite to send food back. Honestly, my experience of the large, leathery, beardy type of bikers has always been pretty positive. You don't want to duck with them, but if you're straight with them, they're straight with you. I used to supervise a lot of angels hired as crew to load trucks, and you can imagine the sweating and swearing that went on as we met deadlines. The company also rented gear to the general public, and sometimes they would wander into the loading dock instead of reception. The moment a granny walked in to pick up her rental, the swearing stopped. The angels didn't look round, didn't stop working and sweating and insulting each other, but the FS and CS and JS they'd been throwing around liberally just evaporated, and as soon as I showed her into reception the air turned blue again. I loved working with those guys. Agreed. Big scary bikers have been helpful and kind to me many times. Bikers like respect. These guys forgot to give some back. Points for owning up to the error afterwards though, and apologizing. Too many people double down on their screw-ups. You forgot that he was Canadian. Good rule of thumb, if a customer service person asks for confirmation, they aren't saying you're wrong, they're usually saying there's a slim chance you want what your mouth is saying, and would probably prefer this, which is likely what you actually want. Sadly, few people consider customer service workers to be people, and therefore think you exist solely for their convenience. Those moments where you get to watch someone duck up when they insisted, they knew better. Satisfaction. Far too many people ascribe malice to the words and actions of customer service people when 95% of the time we're just trying to help them out, like no, ma'am, I'm not saying we're out because I'm lazy or because I took an immediate and undeserved dislike to you. I'm saying it because we're ducking out. I'm not asking you to repeat yourself cause I'm power tripping, I'm confirming because I didn't hear you. People don't often distinguish that retail employees are not their employer. Sure, the corporation you're buying from probably doesn't give a shit about anything but how much of your wallet you can be convinced to part with, but the employees on the floor are largely just trying to help, up until the point where all will to live is beaten out of them by a ceaseless two-pronged attack from their corporate overlords and customers who both refuse to treat them as human beings. My workplace makes a traditional macchiato, a single shot of espresso with about a spoonful of foam on the top. Almost all the people expect a Starbucks drink and will order something like an iced coconut soy macchiato, which leads to me confirming with them multiple times that they understand what the drink is. Most of the time they brush off my explanation with a "yeah, I know," and then when I hand them the smallest paper cup ever they freak out because they expected a large drink. What would a Starbucks macchiato be called at a normal coffee shop? I know they aren't the same thing. I've been wanting a Starbucks iced macchiato recently, but I prefer the local shops whenever possible. Actually, both are correct. A cafe macchiato or espresso macchiato is coffee with a mark of frothy cream on top. A latte macchiato is a frothy milk with just a mark of frothy coffee, espresso, on top. Macchiato just means mark, so if you want marked milk, i.e. lots of milk with a coffee mark, green shop style, then you want a latte macchiato. Not as severe, but I used to work a certain donut shop where they encourage you to dunk them, and I had someone come through the drive-thru and order the same thing. Extra large hot coffee, 12 and 12. Luckily at this establishment this filled about 4/5 ths of the cup, and they did not come in to correct. I compliment him on admitting his mistake. That's tough to do and few manage it. The strangest drink I've ever seen someone order was this, 20 shots of espresso iced in the biggest cold cup. At the green place of many mothers. He paid for it. They made it. He walked out happily sipping on it. All the customers and employees who saw this were just kind of staring at each other afterwards going dang. I had a regular who would come in and order the semi-regularly. I finally asked her what was up and she said she makes a mean tiramisu and uses all the espresso so it's richer than instant coffee. She brought a slice in, it was better. I am at a loss as to what that order could possibly mean at Starbucks. Are they just very different in Canada? You can get pumps of syrup, but that would still be just as gross as his order with you. OP replied. This was almost 6 years ago now, so maybe things have changed, but it used to be 1 cream at Tim's was like ordering a 3 at Bucks, or at least that was the exchange rate I was always told to use. Yeah, a DD is generally pretty sweet, though when comparing to Bucks, the coffee is a different type of roast, and tastes completely different. I find it's a bit sweeter to start with, and goes too sweet very fast.